This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself.
Today we have a GE Gallery front-loading washing machine that has no motor action, doesn't agitate, doesn't spin. So we're going to unplug it. We're going to disconnect it from the fill tubes in the back and take out the drain, unplug it. We're going to pull it out from underneath the cabinet and take a look at a couple things. This is the timer right here. Sometimes the timer can have contacts that end up getting kind of corroded and they can no longer activate agitation and spin. So the timer sometimes is the culprit. Other times it could be the door lock in the front. If it can't lock, it will not go to spin. And it also can be a problem with the motor. It also can be a problem with the motor control board. So we're going to be doing a couple things here to kind of rule out what it could be. I did put a brand new door lock on recently, so I know it's not the door lock. And the door lock, if it's not working, it can be the cause of a no spin situation, but it should agitate. So I'm going to get it out here. This one's not agitating or spinning. And what I want to do is get to the back so I can take the back off. And I'm going to go ahead and remove these hoses first. So the cold side is closest to me on the left and the hot side is on the right. We want to make sure we don't get them mixed up. I'm going to clean out some of the crud in there while I got this thing off. It's very common, especially on the cold side, that things build up in there and can clog the screen, and that can make it take longer for it to fill. So you could use an old toothbrush or something like this to get rid of the dirt while you have it open. Next thing is I'll take my Phillips head screwdriver and just zip out all these perimeter screws. There's a whole bunch of them. There's like 15 or 16 screws here. Got to get them all out so you can get the back panel off. On this model, the back panel is also kind of part of the integral structure of the washing machine, so it's important that when you run it that you do put the back panel back on. Okay. Just a couple more at the bottom. All right, there's a little tiny one here at the top. Got to get that one out. Actually, a couple of those. And we're going to lift off the panel, get it out of there, kind of wiggle it away from where the fill lines are. There we go. And I have it turned on now for spin, and I'm actually grabbing this wheel and giving it a boost. Sometimes there'll be two windings on the motor, one to kind of start it and then a high speed winding, and sometimes if you give it a boost with your hand and it works, then you know that one of the windings on the motor is burned out and it's time to replace the motor. However, on this one that didn't do anything, so that was not the problem. So now I have my continuity tester all set. I've taken off the two jacks that hook onto the motor, the blue one and the white one, and I'm going to test a couple of things. I'm going to test the upper one, which is the motor overload, and you should have continuity. You should be able to hear a beep when you touch those upper two terminals. If you don't hear a beep, that would mean that the motor would not work because it has been overloaded. It's kind of like a fuse. This one does beep, so we know that that part does work. So now we're going to test for the different windings, and we're going to test between 1 and 2, and then also 1 and 3. The way you count is after those first two, which was the motor overload, you're going to count from the top down. So it's going to go 1 through 8. So we're concerned with just terminal 1, 2, and 3. Between 1 and 2, we're getting 0.9, 0.8 and 0.9. See if I can show you guys.
All right.
So I'm putting it on the first
1 and 2, first
terminal after the overload, and then I'm getting 0.9 between 1 and 2. And I'm going to go between 1 and 3, and we should get about a doubling of that.
1 to 3 is point.
So instead of 0.8,
4.
we should be 1 point something. I'm going to use a little electrical cleaner while I have these jacks off, and I'm just going to squirt that area where the terminals are, the upper one and lower one. And then I'll put it back together and see if there's any difference. This is the motor controller we see here in the lower left-hand corner. It usually is mounted with 2 Phillips head screws. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a new motor controller to see if there's going to be any difference. So this one's actually a reconditioned one. It's about $160. And I'm going to pull the old board out, get that off to the side, put the new board in. I'm going to slide it into position, and this goes into these little slots. The upper aspect, I'm going to just push in until it clicks. And we'll see if that makes any difference. We'll go ahead and put these 2 jacks back on. And they can only go on one way, so you can't really get it wrong. I'll go ahead and clean those too. Electrical cleaner you can get like at Home Depot in the electronics section, or the electrical section. And it works really good to clean up where you have bad contacts. Okay, so we put those on, and then we're going to set the dial for the spin cycle, and we should hear it drain, and then we should get a little bit of motor activity where it starts to turn to the right, turn to the left, and eventually it should go up to high-speed spin. If it doesn't, so we now have a new door lock, we have a new motor control. It could be this thing, the timer. So we're going to spray some electrical cleaner in on the timer. It'd be best to have it unplugged when you do this. And the idea is to try to break up some of the corrosion that may be on the little copper contacts. So there's a couple openings here where you can spray the electrical cleaner in. And then it'd be good to manually move the dial around to kind of spread the cleaner in there. It evaporates really fast. All right, let's plug it back in, see if there's any difference. The motor controller did not make a difference.
Okay.
But now that we sprayed the timer, we did get a change, and we have some motor activity. So what really made a difference from what I can tell is the timer. So my guess is the timer has some really corroded contacts inside there, and it may be time for a new timer to really get this machine up and running again. But just by cleaning it with electrical cleaner, we did get a result. We got nice strong agitation again. We're still having a little bit of trouble on the high-speed spin, so my guess is a new timer may actually solve that problem too. It's good to try the different spin settings. There's one, the best one is the heavy-duty setting. There's also the permanent press. There's also the hand washable. but you could also try cleaning the motor. You can use your electrical cleaner to squirt in there. All right, got everything hooked up. We're gonna try it again. Just getting a little bit of motor activity. This is on the spin setting. So it's supposed to, before it spins, it's supposed to spin to the right, spin to the left, back and forth a couple times, kind of get the clothing distributed evenly, and then it should gradually pick up speed. So we're going to put this back in and give it a full test. So we've got the back panel back on. We're going to put the water lines back on. Remember, the cold one is the one towards you, and the hot one is the one on the right. If you look at the hoses very carefully, the one closest to you has a little bit of a blue tint on the metal for cold, and the one I'm using right now is a little bit of a red tint for hot. And we'll get those nice and tight. These are pliers, cinch them up tighter. All right, getting it hooked back up. We got the drain back in there, the water lines hooked up. Got our plug back in. And we're just going to push it back into the cabinet. And then we're going to let water come in and give it a fill test and just see if it's going to agitate. Here's the drain line. So I'll set it for regular wash, and it's going to fill. And then once it fills all the way, there'll be a little bit of a pause, and then it should start to agitate where it spins back and forth. There we go. So it has really good agitation. And all this mainly came from just cleaning that timer. If you think about it, you could probably have gotten the same result without as much disassembly by just pulling it out like we showed before and just spraying it. So here is our schematic. Kind of shows how the power runs to the different components. You can pause it wherever you'd like if you want to get a little more detail. And then this is going to be a diagram showing on the motor what each one of those 8 numbers does and where it hooks up. Thanks so much for watching our video. We really appreciate your support. And when you get a chance, please press the subscribe button below so you can be subscribed, and also the notification bell so we can send you more videos about appliance repair. Please also give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you really liked the video and it really helped you, please press this new applaud button and you can show your support and also get a nice clapping hands for your video. Thanks again.